You are now listening to another episode of the Chanel and Alan Chit Chat Podcast with your hosts, Chanel Marshall and Alan Byrne.
How are you, Miss Busy?
I'm alright. Just actually have shit to do and actually attempting to do it, which makes a change for me. So, yeah.
Very good. Wow. Active Chanel. Busy Chanel. Business. Nothing but business, Chanel, huh?
Yes, instead of just talking about it, I'm actually being about it, finally. It took a while, but...
That's the worst part, man.
There.
The best part's talking about it. That's the great part, you know? That's the fun part.
I know, and it's over now. Like, the two have to become one, and...
when two become one. Blah. The worst.
Yeah. And my mum decided that she was going to be so noisy today and then had the cheek to cop an attitude with me because I'm saying, like, really? Like, I'm trying to record here. And then you're getting upset with me because I'm saying, like, you're being too loud. Yeah. Like, I'm working, right? Trying to make that more, okay? And you're having an attitude with me because I'm saying...
It's timing, man. I don't know what it is about fate. Like this, that happens to me every time. A version of that happened to me earlier today, when you're just like, you know, you could have done it earlier, you could have done it the day before, you could have done it whenever, right? But the time, whenever it is, but today was the day that you chose to do the thing, and that's the day when all the banging and clanging starts, where everyone needs to call you and talk to you, where everything, all of a sudden, all of the things that weren't crucial a day ago, minutes ago, now suddenly they're crucial. All the alarm bells are going, and you're just like, can you people fuck off? Do you know how much mental power it takes for me to sit down and actually do the things I told myself I would do? Do you know how much willpower that takes?
Like I'm finally here, like I'm at the crux of it. I'm like, okay, I've got momentum, I'm doing it. All right, I'm getting stuff done. And now you just want to just be like, well, do it around my noise.
I know, and the thing that's annoying is they're like, well, just do it another time, and you're like, that technically yes, but no, not really, because I need to do it now, because either I left it too long, or I'm in the mood and I can do it today when I couldn't do it yesterday when you wanted to sit around quietly. Oh, it's the worst, man. It's the worst.
It's like, because I'm doing it's like a challenge thing. So today, this was the task. The task was today I had to get this stuff done. Okay. Right. So that's why it needed to be done today.
Very cool.
That's why I was like, we can't be on here too long, like we normally are. And it's like now it's like nighttime. Yeah, exactly.
Why can't people work around our schedule, our way all the time? Not happy. But maybe this is part of the challenge, Chanel. Maybe part of the challenge. Part of the challenge is dealing with other people. Hell is other people. Oh, I was just thinking, it's just I'm sure your mother is wonderful. I hear nothing but good things about her, even from you, which is like, that's pretty. She must be pretty fucking good if you can't find things to complain about her. But just like trying to navigate around people, you know, it's tricky because everyone has their own things, their own little quirks, their own little opinions. And their own style, and you see that I was thinking about style a lot recently, because I'm friends with lots of different types of people, right? And we talked about this before, and what the style of interaction that works for one doesn't work with the other one, So I talk to the person A for however long, and then I switch, and now the talk to person B, but now I need to be a different person. Now I need to change my hat. I've got to because they like a soft voice and they like it when you come at them this way, and this person likes so. And I'm good at that stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, it's tiring, man. It's tiring.
Yeah.
Juggling other fuckers. You know what I mean? Juggling
I just kind of got to that point of like, the point where I'm just like, if I have to do that much rodeo, like...
Good word.
I'm just like, I'm done. Like I don't want to have to change me or tweak me to
yeah.
facilitate others. Like, it needs to be a fact of like, you get me and this is how I am. Like, for instance, if you want to be speaking on like level 10, and if that doesn't appeal to me and I'm like, oh, I really need you to come to a 5, Alan. I really need you to come down to a 5 because that's the only way I can receive what you're saying. Fuck me, mate. Like, Alan does 10. If you don't like 10, fuck
Alan
off.
does 10.
Like,
I like that. I like
do you
that.
know what I mean?
Just get
Like,
a t-shirt that says that. Alan
it
does
just,
10.
I'm just really just at the point where I'm just like, I'm not.
No, I think that's good.
I
think that's good.
It just has to be like one size fits all, because this many hat kind of thing, it's kind of like, sometimes it kind of hinders you as a person, because sometimes you kind of have to end up like self-muting on stuff that you'd actually want to say. So you can't fully be who you are, or your true opinions can't be like voiced, because I don't know how they're going to receive that. I'm just at that point where I'm just like, if you don't like what aura I'm giving off, what energy I'm giving off, then remove yourself from the situation, or I'll do you one better. I'll remove myself. No, you lose out.
Me help you
there
out.
You go.
That's true. No, I agree with that. I think for me, it's like there's levels to it. So it's, if you feel if you definitely feel that you are curtailing yourself, I definitely think that 100% agree with you. That's a red flag, just because it's not going to help you in the relationship with the other person, because you're not actually being who you are. So so who's actually in the relationship anymore? You know what I mean? So there's that. I definitely think that's right on. But at the same time, I think there is another level where it's like, if you change for me, in my experience, if you change your attitude, your tone, if you are adjusting to other person within parameters that you're comfortable with, then it allows you to explore different aspects of yourself. So in that way, it can be a positive thing. So it's just that, but the thing that's like, it's funny. It's like, I'm trying to work out, like, some days, I think it's an energy level thing though as well. It's like, some days, like, I have the energy and I'm like, this is interesting. Like, I can go with this person in the way that they want to go, and it's rewarding. And I'm like, I'm up for it. And I learn new things by opening myself up to like a different way of interacting than maybe I would in a different context. But like, some days I'm just tired. I'm like, oh man, I can't do this shit today. So, but which is like what you said before as well. I think when you're having interaction with somebody, you like kind of know, you need to know who you're having the interaction with and how much you want to get out of it. You know what I mean? Don't sign yourself up for something that you're not actually on board for. But if you do that, my issue is like, if you do that stuff, like for me, one of the reasons I think I'm very good at talking to different people is I do a lot of that stuff subconsciously. So I do a lot of that. That's, as we talked about before with you, like you were saying, you're really good at interpreting people who don't speak English as a first language. Like, you don't think every step of the way, you're not like, oh, I bet they mean that because of this. Like, you just naturally like tune into their way of thinking. So yeah, lots of it's subconscious, and for me, I'm trying to make it a little bit more conscious, or to try to be more aware of it, just so I can check in with myself and measure my own energy levels to make sure I'm not doing what you said we're talking about at the start, which is like overextending myself and curtailing myself. You know what I mean?
Well done, you.
Well done me, my ass, man. It's fucking, like, that's me saying it. Now I have to do it, Chanel. That's the problem. The saying it part was great. I loved saying it there. Saying it was the brilliant. But now the other part of my brain that is basically looks like your mother with the Hoover comes into my head and goes, blah, 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 shut up, I can't. I have to dust this part of your medulla oblongata. Shut up. Destroy yourself. Bang, bang, bang.
Oh, my days. Yeah, it is a lot. I think I saw something, I saw a post. Is it a post? I don't know. Anyway, but basically what it was saying was like, you outgrow people.
Sure. Yep.
And I think we spoke about this before, obviously, saying like how people come into your lives for certain things and then it's time for them to leave, then deuces. But like, it's funny how we hold on to like relationships just because they've had some sort of like longevity.
Yeah, man.
And it started making me feel like there's people that I need to just kind of like let go, like just naturally, like just disperse out of my life, like
just slowly back away, like slowly drift away from.
Just, you know, and
this is the part where your swivel chair starts to move back from the computer, and then
like,
you're just like, bye.
But like, it is crazy how we will hold on to things just because you've had time invested in it.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like programmed to do that. And if someone starts to back away in their swivel chair, we kind of like, oh, what have I done? Like, why are you treating me like this? Like, I can't believe, like, you know. And it's just like, no, but you've served your purpose. Like, it's okay.
And vice versa.
Okay
you know, lots of the time as well. That's it. Relationships drift apart. It can be, sometimes it's the case that one person wants to hold on to it. But lots of the time it's like the other person, you're like, why are you even holding on to this? You know what I mean? It's like a mutual. But why do you think that is? Do you think that's like, is that like, you know, sunk cost fallacy? So you're like, oh, I've put all this time into it. It would be a waste for me not to continue it. Like that's it. Like, you know, like a money trap house. It's like a fucking emotion trap relationship.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like another lady I was watching. She was saying that it was like talking about like food and stuff. And she was saying that if you have food on your plate and you're like, oh, I better eat it because like otherwise I'm wasting it.
Right.
And she was like, it's still waste whether it's left on the plate or whether it's put into your body.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's now you've overeaten, it's not adding any nutritional value to you.
That's a good point.
So you might as well leave it on the plate. Either way, it's waste. And
that's a really clever way of saying that. Yeah.
I know. So I was just like, that's what basically kind of like relationships are. When you think, okay, well, I've put time into it, so I don't want to let it go. But it's no longer serving you. So why are you still holding on to it just because you put time into it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't say, all right, I'm going to go and take a shit, right? And you've been in there for a good, like, 25 minutes. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, this time it was 25 minutes. Last time was 15 minutes. So because of the 25 minutes, I don't think I'm going to flush this time because I put a lot in here. Like, I'm invested in what's in the toilet bowl. So I'm not going to flush this time. I'm going to hold on to my waste. You love my little analogies, right? They're great, isn't it?
I do love a good Chanel metaphor and a good Chanel analogy. I think I might go with the first one about the plate being just waste, and I might not, next time someone's trying to do a bit of dieting, I might not jump straight in with the full of shit toilet bowl metaphor. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you mean.
It just to me, it's like, that's what it is. It's like, why are you going to continue to just be like, oh, because I put time into something, now I have to hold on to it? Like, why?
I think it's fear of change or guilt maybe sometimes as well. People, they feel like, and that's what I like to call, something I like to call Atlas syndrome, not as in the book, but as in like Atlas is the Greek god. The name Atlas from the book, or whatever you want to call it, the chart, comes from the Greek or Roman god of Atlas, and the idea was that he held up the entire world, right? So that like if he put it down, it was just going to go to bits, so he had to keep holding it up. And I think lots of time as well, from the kind of guilt point of view, people think, oh well, if I cut off with this relationship with this person, or if I like let it drift away, like like I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like, oh, like they're not going to be able to cope, or like they're going to be upset. Whereas actually lots of the time I think that itself is like a fallacy. You know what I mean? Like people's relationships come and go all the time. And like sometimes you overestimate your value in the person's life as well. I think that's it. And you need to have respect for yourself in the sense of being like, yeah, not really, you know, it can be a little bit awkward to drift away from somebody, but also lots of the time they don't even give a fuck, man. They won't even notice.
It's true.
Yeah, you know, you don't call them for 3 years and like, they're like, oh, what? I didn't even notice.
No, but that's the classic one. It's like you haven't spoken to someone in years, right? And when you finally say, actually, like, okay, this kind of lingering friendship's just been sitting there, and then you're finally like, actually, no, I'm done. Like, I just want to do like complete and utter like cut. And then they're like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
You unfriended me.
What's happening?
Oh my God.
Like, what? Like, it's just crazy.
But like
it's crazy.
That's social media though, right? Because like social media allows these parasocial relationships, which is that like you and me, we're friends. We haven't spoken in like 3 years, 4 years, 10 fucking years. But we're still friends on Facebook. And like maybe depending on how you curtail or edit your feed or whatever, I've seen pictures of you. I saw you with your boyfriend in Thailand or whatever the fuck it was. So I kind of like, it tricks your brain. Your brain is like, oh, this person's still in our orbit. This person's still around me or you. Now, what I might, from my point of view, I might be like, I haven't talked to this fucking woman in 4 years, but from her point of view somehow, or it could be a male, I didn't mean to gender it intentionally, I'm not thinking of someone specifically, fuck you, Jane, you betrayed me. No, it's just but like, so that's the problem, is like Facebook, it can be good for keep maintaining some relationships that I always think of it in terms of like people who like, I think it's good for maintaining kind of acquaintances, right? Like there's some people who were an acquaintance and I actually want to keep them as an acquaintance, and there's no real emotional investment. But like next time I go to wherever the fuck, what's the country I always quote? Oh, Vietnam. Next time I go to Vietnam, oh, Jeff lives over there. I haven't spoken to him in 5 years, but like our relationship was never that deep. So actually I might meet up with him for a beer or whatever it is. So I think it's good for maintaining acquaintanceships. It's not a problem from that point of view, but it's that thing whereby it allows this weird, vague space whereby like you can think we're still in a relationship, a friendship, and I'm just like, I haven't heard directly from you in 2 years, so we are not. So it allows confusion, you know, and that's one of the many problems with it, man. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
But yeah, it's funny though. But do you have any relationships? Because you're a very hard and fast sort of person, Chanel. But do you have any relationships whereby like someone kind of what would I say? They kind of like go out of your, not go out of your life, nothing dramatic, but they're kind of like, maybe you were real close for a while, then you kind of drifted, and then they like came back in again later on. Like that's happened to me, and that's interesting. You know,
I did actually, I did. And I would say that, we're closer now than we were. Like, it was a school friend. And then, like, in that kind of, like, midst of kind of leaving school, and there was, like, a big gap where there was, like, nothing, basically. Like, you see each other, may see each other out, if that.
Right.
And be like, hi. But then there was, like, hi. But then it was literally just like there was like a nothingness, but it wasn't a nothingness of a.
No negativity, and just just
like, okay, and then finally, like, I can't remember what it was that brought us back, but and then like, but we don't speak like every day, but we would speak at least maybe like once by every 2 weeks, maybe.
That's pretty
Sometimes
good,
it might be. It could be like, then there could be a week where we speak like 3 times in that week. But like, I've had that. I think I probably had that maybe three people, I think. But it's, for me, I think if there is no, I'm gonna get you and your puppy, that like, then, and if it's organically, just means that, like, you know, you just the friendship kind of dissipates and then kind of comes back in, and but I have had people where it's been like
you actively get sick of them, like you get tired.
Not even that, like, you just kind of been like, well, you have a misunderstanding, so you have a falling out, so then you don't speak, and then you realize that the misunderstanding was just because you was young and you didn't kind of like dig deep and realize that that person wouldn't have done what was said. And then you realize, actually, like, we were kids, like, and then you come back in and then you're like tight as anything. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've had that as well. So I've kind of had like two different kind of.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm like thinking about, because it's like the drifting thing is interesting, and like sometimes I'm like, let me just cut off this limb, let me just chop off this thing. But then I remember I used to be more hard and fast. I used to be like I'm done with this, not even in a way where I was judging them that much, but I was just like, this person isn't adding anything to my life, this person isn't like chop them out, chop. And then later on I found that some of the people that I chopped out, in a way, later on they actually came back around, and I was like, I kind of threw you out in my head. I mean, obviously, if I was like, get the fuck out of here, I'm not sure they would have come back around. And now, some of them now are closer to me than the people who at the time I thought were the people worth hanging on to. And that's interesting then. It's like, I always think, the new way I think about it today is like, it's like in my head, if somebody I feel like isn't, if they're not giving anything, if they're not bringing anything to the table energy wise, I kind of put them on hold mentally. I'm not going to keep engaging in this if this is continuous battery day, but I'm not as quick to cut people off as much as I used to be. Again, even just in my head, as opposed to necessarily doing it with them face to face, because I'm like, the person who's your enemy today could be your best friend tomorrow, and vice versa. I think it's because I'm playing too many strategy games. I'm like, no, it's the Persians. I'm trying to invade them with my little ships. My religion systems.
I think more of it is probably kind of like, because we grow as people, and you realize that like little things that would probably either annoy you, or you would say you would just cut someone off for in the past, you kind of realize it's not that big of a deal now. So you kind of just like, I can be friends with you because I can actually talk about what I feel. If I feel that you've wronged me, we can actually have a conversation about it, instead of me just being like, do you know what? Fuck off. You and your family, go away. Like, take everyone with you. Take all of them with you. I don't want any traces of you people. Go away. But now you can just literally be like, okay, you did this. I felt like this. Blah, blah, blah. We can have some sort of like, I don't know, kumbaya. And then it can be like, back to some sort of normality or whatever. And sometimes you need that kumbaya for it to kind of like clear the air, and to make that relationship kind of like be stronger, because you've kind of maybe been self-muting, and you're like, oh, well, I don't want to say, because I don't know how they're going to take it, or I don't want to offend, and that kind of thing. So, and now I just don't care about offending anyone, so it is what it is.
Really? No, but I do think that's a shocker. No, but that is true. I think the other thing about that as well, though, is I think there's two sides to that. It's like, it's one, I think you worry less, but one of the reasons I think you can worry less about offending people is if you get better at explaining yourself and listening to others. It's like, because like if you and me have like a difference of opinion, like maybe as a teenager or as a early 20 something or whatever, like I just get really angry. I react to you, and I don't have that skill set. And I'm sure there's plenty of 20-year-olds who do have that skill set, but you know what I mean? To actually express myself properly, you get angry, I get angry, or I feel like your opinion, your point of view, like detracts from me, or is, you know what I mean? Like there's all sorts. Whereas if you can, the better you get at being like, no, I have a point of view and I can listen to somebody else, and that, and the better you get at expressing yourself, the more I think it's like, the more you feel less vulnerable, which ironically allows you to be more open. You know what I mean? It's like when you're vulnerable, everything's closed. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't let anything in. Whereas like if you feel more confident in yourself, you're better able. You're like one side of it is like, I'm just gonna say I'm just going to be me, and that's that, which is great. But the other side of it as well is that like you're not afraid if people's feelings are hurt. That's true, that can happen, but you're like, that's life, they have to deal with that. But also, if they come back at you and they disagree with you, that's not going to send you off into some kind of, you know.
Yeah, because like you said, if they're obviously so if they're offended, it's not that I don't care, it's just the fact that it's like, okay, why are you offended?
Exactly.
Like,
already you're on the next step.
Yeah, like what is it that's got you in your feelings as to why you feel that it was a personal attack? Like, not to be I was going to say not like to act like I don't give a shit, but like it's never that personal. Like for me, it's not that personal. Do you feel that like you matter that much that I'm actually going to go on this personal attack for you? I don't care that much.
Here's why I hate Pokemon, because I really hate you, Chanel. Because I really hate you. Raichu can go fuck himself. Chanel. I mean, like, Raichu. Yeah.
So it's just like, it's not that deep. And I've realized that a lot of people, if they take kind of like offense from like something, and you're like, hold on, but it wasn't even directed at you or whatever. It's like, well, then there's an issue with you.
To
like
some extent,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, there's obviously something with you, and some people do like to deflect their insecurities and those kind of things on you, and then you're left going, hold on.
It's like
I thought I was like what?
I thought we were just hanging out, and now you're really upset.
And it's like, what? So I am in that space. It's like, don't take it personal. And I'm also in a space that if you do have a different opinion from mine, I don't want you to feel like I am being dismissive or argumentative. So it's like, I was having a discussion with my sister the other day, and I cannot remember what we was talking about, but our opinions were different. And I was like, she was just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, all right, well, you agree to disagree, blah blah. And I was like, well, no, I want to understand where you're coming from. Doesn't mean I have to like agree with you, but I want to understand it, because I don't want to leave this conversation and then you come off the phone and you're frustrated by me just thinking, oh, this girl don't listen, she don't get it. And then I'm coming away going, what was she going on about? Like, I'm still left in the dark. And I was like, no, I want to understand your opinion, I want to understand your point, whether I agree with it or not. And she was like, oh, okay. I just kind of felt like I was beating a dead horse. And I was like, no, I actually, like, I want to know. Like, it doesn't have to be the fact that I'm going to agree with you because I came on the phone. No, I think after that we realized, I was like, actually, but my point was kind of similar to yours, but because she was so in gun-ho on her point, she was kind of like realizing, thinking, oh, I don't want to drill it home, but you was drilling it home. And I'm I'm missing it. And then realistically, we're coming from this different points, but it ended up being exactly the same.
For sure.
So I realized, like, sometimes if you have an opinion or you have a point of view and you just kind of get stuck in it, you sometimes just be like, oh yeah, we'll just agree to disagree. But like, no one's got a better understanding of what this whole conversation was about.
Like the sentiment of agree to disagree, I don't have a problem with. Like the idea that you can still be friends with somebody, love somebody, whatever it is with somebody, and have different opinions. I'm fully on board with that. But I 100% agree with you. Lots of the time, people say agree to disagree, and what their meaning is like, let's not really try and understand each other's point of view on this, because we're too emotionally engaged with it, whatever it is, or we're too frustrated. And sometimes taking a break and coming back can be good as well. You know, sometimes people need space to get their thoughts together. That's something I think I'm more on board with now than I used to be. I always used to think like, no, like, now we're talking about it, let's keep talking about it. Whereas like now I'm like, no, actually sometimes people, like, they need time to get their thoughts together, or they might not be in a place. So if you're up for still talking about it and I am, let's go into it now. And then like, if not, let's talk about it later. But I think the thing that you said, which is, it's great because it's so simple, is just and important, is this thing of that thing of saying like, I actually do want to understand where you're coming from. I don't want to just, I do, even if I disagree. I mean, I think it's a great sentiment. The big one for me that I was thinking about recently is when people think that if you disagree with them on something, Again, and it could actually literally be anything. Obviously, the more invested they are in it, the more likely it is to have this effect. But it could also be Pokemon suck. No, they don't. It could be anything. But it's like people think that if you are like disagreeing with their point, that essentially that in some way that you are looking down on them or judging them, right? So if you have a different opinion than me, like in a way, me saying I disagree with you, lots of the time it can be interpreted as me saying, well, actually, I think you're stupid because I've got this information and you don't have that information because I'm a clever clogs and you're not. And and like what is for me, I'm like, it's like people, the smartest people I know in the world make like what I would consider to be big mistakes that they later on look back on and go, And when I say smart, I mean people who are like book smart, but also including people who are like wise, people who are like street smart, people who are smart in all these different ways. Everybody can make mistakes, include even occasionally me or you. Very rarely, very rare.
It's like a 1% chance.
It's one, but we gotta give it 1%. We gotta give it 1% in those rare few instances. Okay, we're humans. I know you look up to us. You think we're gods walking amongst you mortals, and you know we're infallible. But even we, sometimes, occasionally, once. Very good. You did that way too easily, man. That's not the first time you've done that. Your God pose. That was too on point. I like it. It's like people can come to different conclusions, or let's just say wrong conclusions, for a whole bunch of different reasons. Because if you have like one thing in your premise, right, in your starting position that is slightly off, and then you're a genius and you work out this entire, philosophy, worldview, ideology, or just an idea about a specific issue, like what you're still incredibly clever for working that out, but maybe there's just one little kernel of information that's wrong there that means the end result is wrong as well. People, it's not a judgment against you in terms of your intellect if we have a disagreement. It's just like we'll say if you think you're right and you think I'm wrong, you're just like, you can think that without thinking I'm an idiot, but I think people don't say that enough, because I think they're worried. People are very worried about being judged by others, especially people they care about,
But I think also as well, which a lot of people do, it's like telling someone that they're wrong, but they're not giving them the true foundation as to why you believe that they're wrong. So they can just basically be like, no, but you're wrong. And like, their reasons for it are very surface based, and it's kind of like, you've kind of lost this one now because you haven't given me like true, like give me some good knowledge as to why. Yeah. But they just like, and then you're left going, I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do we go from here? I don't understand. So I do dislike that. And it's like, 100%. The argument is crap now. So even if technically I am wrong, I don't care anymore.
Wait, if you turn out that you think you're wrong, but the other person is being like more, what's the word? Not really giving you good reasons. Is that what you're saying that you don't?
Yes. If the person says like, I say, well, I believe that hula hoops are square, right? And they're like,
sacrilege.
And they're like, no, they're round. And I'm like, yeah, but why are they round? Like, explain to me as to why they're round. No, they're just round.
You're just like,
but I need more than that. Like, you can't just give me that and I'm supposed to be like, well, okay, all right.
It's like they've lost even though they've won, kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that irritates me. That irritates me a little bit.
And for me, in terms of thinking about how I have conversations with people, I think sometimes that what you're talking about is like that comes from their insecurity about they don't want to lose, they don't want to be felt. They have an insecurity maybe about their own. How you think about them. Are you judging them? Has someone else judged them? Has someone else called them stupid for making a mistake? Or has the other thing is that someone told them immoral? So I think it's important that like when you talk, obviously what you want somebody who's kind of on an even footing with you. That's the best case scenario. You don't want someone who's being an arsehole straight out the gate. In terms of, I don't mean on an even footing in terms of intelligence or something, but in terms of like the openness or the style in which they're interacting with you. But like ideally, if you guys are on the same page, that's great. But lots of the time, somebody, and I'm sure we've done it as well, they're in a position where they're being a bit more defensive. Maybe they're being a bit more aggressive or something like that. And it's like, for me, I'm trying to get better at diffusing that. And I think one of the ways to diffuse that is like to let them know that you're not out to get them. Because for me, that's what it comes across a lot of the time, is I'm just like, oh, you know, tell me your point of view. And if they're like, they're just round, I'm like, oh yeah, trying to say like, I see where you come from. I'm not saying you're an idiot for thinking that, but like basically trying to do what you were suggesting, which is you want to signal to the other person that you're not just trying to win, you're not just trying to beat them. You actually want to engage with them. And some people are so defensive because of whatever experiences they've had in the past. That it's like, dude, I won't say who it is, but there's one person, I mean, they're kind of a psychopath in my life, who I know, but I'm like, this person, like, they are so, they're such a fucker, right? They're the worst. They're the worst. I don't know a lot of truly bad people, but this is one of the people in my life where I'm like, there are no redeeming qualities about this motherfucker. But like, they literally can't, like, whenever you interact with them, they always think that you're trying to fuck them over because they always try and fuck other people. And it's just, so basically, like, even when you're talking with them, you're at the same time, you're kind of like fighting against yourself because you're trying to convince them that you're not trying to fuck them because their default position is assuming that you're trying to fuck them. It's the worst. It's the worst.
I would, but
that is rare.
Like, I'm not going to get in that interaction with you. Like,
no. I'm only associated with them through necessity, not through choice. But for most people, with most normal human beings, I think like that thing of, especially if somebody is emotional, because I think I'm very good at hiding my emotions and things like that, or very good at managing them to some extent. But I still am like emotional. And sometimes when you get in a debate or a discussion with someone, you can get emotions. If you get angry or you get upset or whatever it is, and that can lock you up a bit, that locks you out a bit in a sense. So like trying to recognize that in other people and trying to diffuse that, you know what I mean, I think is a good skill set to have. Try to.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you are good at hiding your emotions.
You'll never know the real me, Chanel. The Phantom of the Opera, isn't it, with the half face?
It's like you try to downplay it, and I'm just like, I know you're really kind of spazzing out right now, but it's okay. If you want to pretend it's all right, it's okay.
It's fine. Really masking it well. I'm fine. How's everyone? Does anyone need anything? Oh! Yeah, Chanel picks up on the subtle cues. You see, that's
why I was like, "Are you sure today? Are you sure?"
You get
today?
fucked, man. You said like, sure about today. You was just like, "I'm busy today." So
no, I was in the space of I was like, if you want to say no to today, that's fine. But I was like, I want to make sure you're not just saying yes to just appease me and be like, oh, well, I've said I'm going to do it, so, and I was like, well, we've got enough in the fucking bag to be like.
And actually, I do want to say that because just because I had lots and have more to deal with the weekend as well, but stuff going on. But I was going to say that's great, especially because what you did was you literally just messaged me and said, if you don't want to do this today, just let me know, no pressure, blah, blah, blah. And again, I thought that is great. And that's something that I think like we don't do with each other, and not with you and me, but with other people enough, because it's like people, especially if something is scheduled, like if I told you I was going to meet you or you this week or whatever it was, we made plans, like just checking in with the other person to make sure that they're still okay with everything that's going on, that they still want to do that. That's really, really important, and not getting like butthurt if they don't, because Chanel doesn't want to talk to me. And that's really important. But it's very hard to and as well, I think for us people, the reason it's good to ask other people is twofold. One, because it shows them that you appreciate them beyond whatever the scheduled event is. You said we were going bowling, Chanel. Bowling shall happen. Like it's like beyond whatever the thing was. But also lots of time, I think for me, certainly, and for other people as well, they don't know that they're not up for something sometimes. They don't know if they're not in the mood for something. I feel like I don't know if you're ever in that space. I feel like you're more in tune with yourself than I am. But like for me and let's think, all Irish people, that's it. That was the group I was thinking of. Because everything's repressed. They don't know. Like they don't know what they're feeling, right? Because they got beat around the head by colonialists and priests for like 200 years, and now they're just like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Whatever you want is fine, but don't you? Are you trying to fight me? No, don't. I'm sorry. Everything is. It's they don't know which way they're going. So when you ask somebody, you check in with them, like that's really instrumentally useful for them as well in terms of actually like, giving them a second to think. Oh yeah, maybe I don't want to go bowling today.
Is it because you don't
want to go bowling, Chanel?
Yeah.
This is my long-winded way of asking you if you want to go bowling.
I said there's something going on there. But like people, when you make plans, you are in a different mental headspace than you are when the time arises. And people
I love it.
kind of like they forget that. It's like you'd be out with your friends and you'll be like, oh, like next week, let's do this again. Like, so much fun. And then next week comes and you're like,
you're smoking cigarettes, looking out the window at the rain. God, I hate everything. I hate everything.
just literally just like, no, I don't fancy doing that. It's like, even like, one of my friends, she sent me like a brunch thing. Like I remember I said I went for my sister's birthday. We did like a daytime brunch thing where they play music and food and stuff. Yeah. So my friend, she sent me one of those things again on Instagram, and I looked at it and I read it and I read it again, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to. It's like I know I've told you guys about it and said like the one I went to was really good, blah blah. Back then I wouldn't mind doing one of those again.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing it in front of me.
I'm like,
I don't want to do it. Like I'm in a different space right now. And for me, I kind of realized that like this whole going out, like just having to listen to someone else pick the music that I'm going to listen to, someone else make these drinks that I'm going to have to pay for.
This is all a big part of the going out. Yeah.
Right. And like making these drinks a week, and I can like buy the same alcohol from the supermarket or the guy at the corner shop. Right. And I can make the drink as strong as I want or as weak as I want in the comfort of my own home with my own playlist, with my own company, because I'm fucking awesome. I don't, I just don't want to. And it's like when you say it out loud, someone who's not in this space would just be like, oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But me,
it doesn't come from a negative place, though. It doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
It's just like, it's just something that I just don't want to do. And like with the same friend and a few of us, we went to
bowling. Was it bowling?
No, we didn't go bowling. COVID, man, COVID. Right.
Spitting on
we
everything.
We went to the park, so I got to meet my new goddaughter.
The park is the new club. Everyone's in the park.
Right. Like, and going to the park for me was just, that was enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was enough. I get to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a while. Get to see with the kids and stuff. I was like, that there for me is like, that's my zhuzh. Like, let's do the park. But then someone could catch me on another day and say, do you want to go to the park? And I'm thinking, fuck off. I just don't want to. Like, I just...
Yes, sure.
I'm not in the park place right now. So, catch me when I'm back in a park space. But like for me, for a social interaction, that was cool for me. Like, that was good. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fun. But if someone else asks me, I'll be like, nah.
Yeah.
Like,
they're
like, the wind says no. The wind is like, like the wind is blowing too much to the left. I don't like it. So it's just knowing yourself and just knowing like, actually, no, I don't want to put myself in spaces, places that I just don't want to be in. If I don't feel like it today, I'm just not going to do it. And I'm not going to be held like mentally ransom because I said I'm going to do that. And then now that time's come, like, I'm in that space. I'm just like, I ain't doing it. And if you really want to connect with me, call me. And if I pick up, you're lucky. If I don't, leave me a message. You think?
Well, but I mean, that's the thing as well. It's like, if you want to, I think that's the thing. People think if you cancel plans, or if you don't want to do this, or you don't do that. Again, people take it personally. They take it as a personal rejection, and that's why. But that's the other side of the coin. Is what we're talking about with communication with people. Is like letting other people know that is not the case as well. It's like, no, I'm not rejecting you. I'm just rejecting bowling on a Tuesday. All right, that's what I'm rejecting.
But it's like, even like, for instance, if you ask me to go bowling, right, and I'm like, fucking bowling. We're gonna have to go bowling.
We're gonna have to have like a live stream bowling session now.
Like, but then I said no to you. I don't. When I'm like, no, I'm just not feeling bowling. On a Tuesday. But then, say for instance, Mako asks me to go to the cinema on the Tuesday.
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, let's go cinema. But because I've said no to you to bowling, you're going to take it personal and be like, you didn't want to go bowling with me. And it's like, hold on. No, I just wasn't in the space for that. And maybe I wasn't even just in the space just for you and your energy that day. It's nothing against you, but just you as a person. I wasn't ready for that mentally, for that interaction.
I just get betrayed. I start acting all gloomy like Drake and shit, just sad. It's really depressed in my feels.
But that's the thing, like, it is like people would really get offended and be like, so you don't want to spend time with me? And it's like, no, it's just, I wasn't ready or mentally for that energy exchange today. Like, I just didn't want it. I wanted to do this with someone that's probably like chilled, watch a movie. Like, I know, for instance, for me, if my sister said to me like, oh, cool, let's meet up tomorrow, I'm on it. Like, I want to be around them. Like, their energy, I know what I'm getting. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like, oh, look. And if I don't feel 100%, like I'm not at my 10 and I'm vibrating at a 2, I know that they're going to bring me to that. They're going to bring me to that 10. Do you get what I mean? I don't have to. And it's not me just saying, I'm going to offload on them and, they're going to have to be my kumbaya.
No, I know. But you just know how you interact with them. You know that.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, and people do get offended, and people need to get to that space and that place that it's like, it's not about you. It's like, if you take yourself out of that situation, you want to be around me. So it's actually about me right now. So you want me to be in your space, you want me to be here with you, or you want me to do this, or you want me to be on the phone with you. You need to take yourself out of it and realize that you want me to think about what I need. I don't need you right now. So I need this right now. But
plus it's also as well, it's thinking about it in terms of like, if you meet people, talk to people on the phone, whatever it is, send them pictures and whatever. If you're both in the mood or the zone to do it, then you're going to have a great time. Then you're going to have the best time. You're going to have the best version of that interaction. And if you understand that, okay, that this other person's, I asked them to do this, but they're not that into it. It's better not to do it, and better to catch them back around when they're more when maybe they'll call you up and they're in the mood to do something and it clicks or whatever. Because what happens a lot of the time is you end up doing things where like, one person's not into it, the other person is, or not in the mood for it, we might say. Or lots of the time, the best case scenario is when two people meet up who both don't want to be there. You know what I mean? You're just like, what the fuck? You hate bowling too? Why are we here?
Exactly. Wasting your time. Like, what the fuck? Yeah,
the bowling master in the back being like, another destroyed relationship, another 20 pounds in the pocket of the bowling man.
How'd you like those rented shoes?
That's right. But I cough in each one before I give them to you.
But yeah, it's like being able to be in that headspace, in that place, to be like, actually, like, it's not about me. If I want to spend time with someone else other than myself, it's about that person at that point in time. It's not about me anymore.
Sure.
It's about them.
I mean,
so
I think your desire to want to interact with someone, it's still something to do with you. But I know what you're saying.
No, I mean in the sense of if you choose to cancel on me.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's about what you want, right? So obviously, I want to spend time with you, and I'm like, oh yeah, like Alan's so much fun, blah blah blah. I want to have fun with Alan. Okay, cool, but you turn around and you be like, actually, no, I'm not feeling like it today. Instead of me feeling like you're like just blowing me off because you can't stand me. No, you're just not mentally in that space for me right now. But you may be mentally in that space for Mako. Like, do you get what I mean? I shouldn't take it personally because it's not about me in that sense.
Yeah,
it's about what you want.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, but also, I mean, in terms of like, see, I think like you have that very much as your philosophy, and I try to have it as well. But not everybody does, and again, lots of time they don't because they just haven't tapped into that, or they haven't worked that out, or they haven't been given permission to say no to things as well. So that's why I think like if you message somebody, if you think, oh, they seem a bit stressed out there, but whatever, double checking with them as you did today, and then I forced you to talk to me about bowling for an hour anyway. But like if you check in with them and say, oh, you sure you want to do this? That gives them permission to say no as well. And then next time, maybe they're more likely to initiate that themselves. You know what I mean? Plus, if you check in with them to make sure that they still are up for doing something, like you're also setting the standard for letting them know that this isn't about you hating me or me hating you or us being odd or something like that. It's just, this is a way for us to interact to make sure that we're all like, we're in the best place we can be. We're totally up for it. So, but that one day when we do go bowling, it's just the best. And everyone wanted to bowl. The one day, the equinox, the sun and the moon, it all just comes together in a line. The light is shining through the eye of the pyramids. And everyone just loves bowling for that one great day. That one, and then other 364 days of the year, you're just like, bowling this sucks. What are we doing? These things are heavy. Why don't we just go down there and kick those fucking pins down? It's not that far.
Why don't they have like kind of like, they have like kick bowling or something, like, you know, you don't have to use your hand, you just kick the ball out, you just kind of roll it with your foot or something.
Now you're innovating. I agree, although I think if we're going to introduce kick bowling, I think we should probably introduce new types of bowling ball, because some of those fucking things, you break your toe on them.
Like instead of like, it should be like called rolling instead of bowling, because you kind of like just roll the ball. So you kind of like just with your foot, like just the side of your foot, not the front of your foot, just the side of your foot, you know?
You get penalized if you use the front of your foot. It's just like shuffling, because shuffleboard's already a thing. Shuffle bowl. You just shuffle it along. That sounds nice. And do you ever, you know, the kids, they put up the barriers on the sides of the bowling thing. Yeah. That's great, man. I love that. I'm just like, that's the only way to bowl. I'm like, I do.
But then when you still miss pins, like, and it just doesn't work.
It's a bit extra tragic, you know. That's when you got to turn it back around. They threw me off the bouncies. I'm not used to them. I was doing a triple point spin, and the bouncy side effects, you're like, sir, you did ask for them, and it's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, you're here by yourself, so we're still going to think you're a lunatic. But thank you for patronizing our establishment. No, I haven't been bowling. When was the last time I was bowling? Last time I was bowling, I was in Yellowknife, right? Which sounds like a made-up place.
Where is that?
Yellowknife is the most northernly city in Canada that you can get to, like, without going like really, really deep into the north. It's like the last main city. So when I was living in Yellowknife, in that very small community, I was like the teaching assistant for the kids, and they're
like all three of them.
Yeah, it's like there's 400 people in the town, right? It's an all Inuit community basically, and then there's a few people who aren't Inuit, but most of them are. And so the kids, it was how many kids? It was like maybe 5, I think, 6. So I had been there for like a couple of months, and they were like, Alan, you're taking all the kids down to Yellowknife on a plane, because that's the only way you go. There's like the little tiny mini planes. I wasn't driving it. Sorry, that made it seem like I was.
I was say, what the hell?
You know, Canada, there's no rules up there, man. You just hop in, drive these kids down. And so I flew down with them, and I was like their chaperone, because they were there for the Northwest Territories. Was it not the games? I don't know, there was some like competition or educational activities or something was going on in Yellowknife. So the kids would do that in the day, and then like at night we were staying in this like a really tiny little town hotel, you know. It's great, dude. The airport in Yellowknife, they have like a stuffed polar bear where the luggage comes around, you know. It's the best. It's like all the, like those films like Fargo, like that, but smaller, man. Just smaller. Just, it's great. But anyway, yeah, so we were down there, and obviously in Ulahuqtuq, like there's no what do you call it, social activities, you know. They have the internet and all that shit, but there's no cinemas or anything like that. So we were like, what can we do here that we can't do there? And like cinema and bowling was one of the things. So I just went bowling with all these Inuit kids, and the thing that was funny was the bowling lane was run by this fucking Chinese bloke. So I'm just like, I'm talking to this bloke in Chinese, bowling with these Inuit kids, and I'm just like, I'm in a mental hospital. I've been there for years. They're giving me every drug under the sun, and this is just, this is made up. This is a fantasy I'm having. There's no way that these elements actually combine, you know? So there's a good picture of me bowling. I'll send it to you. But we had great fun, and we didn't put up the bouncy lanes. We were playing straight lane. No bouncy. Definitely not me. I think Jacob, maybe. I'm not sure. Can't remember. Fun. That was the last. When was the last time you were bowling, Chanel?
I believe it was maybe, I want to say last year, but it may have been the year before.
Was it for an occasion?
I think it might have been. Yeah, my nephew's birthday.
Nice.
We went
nice.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, bowling is a thing that really, it's only for like kids' birthdays, really, isn't it? I mean, I think in America, adults actually bowl. But I'm like, in the UK, and people don't bowl. Do adults bowl?
Normally, like, I've been like bowling just like with my friends and like my niece and stuff, but like, and then they changed bowling before it used to be like really kiddie, and then they added a bar in the bowling place.
Okay.
You're like,
okay.
But then I started driving, and then it was like, well, I can't really be getting like that wasted.
Yeah,
I've got to drive. So
wondering if you're too drunk to bowl, you're probably too drunk to drive. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I bet there is a sweet spot right in the middle where you're just fucking hitting strike after strike and you motor home fine, but it's a fine line. And if you cross it either way, it's probably not going to be a great evening.
I don't think I wouldn't advise you try and figure out that fine line.
Thank you. Yeah. Solid advice as always. Drunk bowling does sound fun though. It does. That sounds good. But yeah, it's just it's one of those things where you're like, it's just so odd. It's such an odd, like, you know what I mean? Like, what can you do in a city for fun? You could go to see, I suppose in London, you could go see a show, theatre or something like that. The Lion King. Or you can go to the cinema, or you can go to like clubs and bars, restaurants. But like bowling is just, I feel like bowling was just dropped there and people forgot about it. I'm bowling too. I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's just like.
Oh, there's a place in, where is it? I think it's North London. Yeah, it's North London, and it's a bowling alley, but it actually turns into like a club. So it's kind of like a clubby kind of like, so you still have like the bowling lanes,
right?
And then you've got like the bar, then they serve food, and then they've got like on the other side they've got like the arcade, and they've got like little mini karaoke booths as well.
Okay, so they're getting all these different things, yeah.
And like we went there for one of my friend's birthdays. We didn't actually bowl that time. We just went there obviously for like the music and stuff. But I was just like, whoa, this is new.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. Like,
I kind of like that when it's a
really
combination.
Night, yeah.
Oh, that's all right too. But I think like that's kind of nice then when it's a combination of stuff. There's a place like that, except you can't get booze there, in a store called the Leisureplex. Which has that as all the sort of games. I think they have Quasar upstairs as well. Do you ever play Quasar? You know, when you zap each other. It's all in one.
I've never played it. I always wanted to, but yeah.
You never played it? Oh man, you'd be. I haven't played Quasar in about 20 years, but I reckon you would either be really fucking bad or really good at it. I don't see it being an in the middle thing. Either you're just going to be like, get down. You're just going to be like Vietnam War movie level, just murdering civilians. Or you're just going to be like, where's the gun? I can't get the thing on the thing. And just everyone's shooting you all at once. It's one or the other.
I probably would be like the one getting shot. I'm not really good at like those kind of games and stuff. I'm not.
What kind of games? Games where you shoot each other?
Kind of like, yeah, and that kind of thing. Like, I've never been paintballing. I always wanted to, but
me too. Never been.
I'm gonna get got real quick, so it's gonna be a waste of my time and money. So just don't do it.
That surprises me. You know, because I think of you as being a warrior type. You know what I mean? You know.
I don't know what way you pick that up from, but.
Where could I get that? Where I get that impression from? That you'd be good enough. I think you'd be good in a conflict now, Chanel. But maybe yours is more of a war of words. Maybe you'd be the one negotiating the peace between the different warring sides. Listen to me. And
if you don't get it, then I've got my backup.
Me and the other stupid men would be playing with our paintball weapon. Kill them. That could be it. Yeah, I think that's actually. You know what it is. I know exactly what it is. See, you would be good in a war. But you know what you are? You're not a grunt. You're a fucking general. That's what you are. You're a fucking general. That's right, boys. Off you go that way. Instant movement. I'll be right behind you. Yeah, you keep going over the top. That's your fucking Chanel the General. That's what it is. That's what.
I'd be like, is the car running? Okay. Okay, guys, I'll be there soon.
General Chanel.
Let me get in the car.
That's it, man. We got to get you one of them like Gaddafi flat caps, you know what I mean? All the medals on you. We got to get you like, that kitted out like that.
Oh, yeah.
I could see you. Listen, your sister's a designer, right? Let's get some kind of sort of like dictator chic going on. I can see you with the big glasses, you know, the big Kim Il-sung, like dark glasses, like a flat cap, and just like a whip. Someone just trips up in front of you. Oh, I'm sorry, and you just give the nod and get dragged away. You know, I could see that. I'm sorry.
This picture that you're painting of me, I don't know where you get these things from. I don't know.
I tell you, listen, I could be 100% wrong. All I know is that based on all the signs in the outside world, it looks like the apocalypse is coming, and I would much rather be very, very, very good best friends with the dictator than be in the enemy's camp. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, now you want to be on my side, yeah? I saw what you did with
always on your side. I'm always on your side. Why are you saying it now I'm on your side? I said dictator chic. I'm pro dictator. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, Commander. I'm all in favor of your gulags and death camps. I always have been.